Hello and welcome to the Daily Space for today, December 28th, 2018. We are very quickly running out of year. And with it, we're running out of news. I got up and had not a single news story in my inbox this morning. And I don't know what, sorry, losing my voice. I don't know when I last saw that. So today is going to be a roundup of what to expect as we move into 2019, as well as a what not to expect as we're dealing with the government shutdown. Yeah, it's definitely a slow news time, Susie Murph. So, as I think everyone in the world is now aware, the United States has an ongoing partial government shutdown. Exactly what this means has everyone very confused. I've seen everything from New York Times reporters putting out general calls. If your science has been affected, please reach out, to center directors asking, hey, has anyone gotten a work stop from the missions they work on? So here's what I know. With the partial government shutdown, many different aspects of the U.S. government and the related federal agencies are currently in a situation where personnel who are considered non-essential are not allowed to work. This means that a NASA scientist at Goddard working on astrobiology that is not related to a spacecraft that is about to do something amazing, which is not happening with astrobiology right now, which is why I picked that example. They are required to be at home. They are not allowed to use their NASA-issued computer, cell phone. They are not allowed to volunteer their time. They're just not allowed to do anything. That said, people who are deemed mission critical, so here we have some of the people that are tied to the New Horizons mission. They are allowed to do their work. In fact, they're required to do their work, but they're not getting paid. So here we have people that are working in clean rooms to maintain the clean room environments, people who are working to make sure that the U.S. Parts of the International Space Station keep going. All of these essential personnel are required to work, but they won't get a paycheck until all of this is over. Now, the irony of all of this is that it's entirely up to Congress what will happen, but quite likely either everyone furloughed and required to work without pay will get paid, or no one will get paid. The latter hasn't happened that I've been able to find, but in general, everyone gets back pay. But they may not be able to pay their bills in the interim. So there was a message sent out to government employees yesterday or the day before, instructing them on how to reach out to creditors, reach out to landlords, and ask, yes, government employees are being encouraged to ask their landlords, can they exchange services for rent, at least in the short term. So there's that. Now, that's for people who are direct government employees, civil servants, people whose paychecks come directly from the U.S. government. Now, a lot of people out there working on a variety of different projects, cleaning buildings, doing the day-to-day tasks where you might think that they are government employees, they actually work for contracting agencies. So there are a lot of people that work at NASA Goddard, for instance, that are actually employees of my institution, the Planetary Science Institute. They have NASA badges, they're on center every day to do their jobs, but they're contractors. Now, contractors are in an interesting position. Contractors, which includes a lot of people working at national parks as well, are able to work as long as they have their funding allocations in place. So you might have heard that many of the national parks, the Smithsonian, they're open hit or miss until New Year's or January 1st or January 2nd when their current allocation runs out. In one case, the I forget which state it is, but one of the states here in the United States is actually paying to keep the Grand Canyon open for tourists during the holiday season. And yeah. So why am I bringing all of this up? I'm bringing all of this up because we have a spacecraft called New Horizons that is about to do a flyby of a Kuiper Belt object, and we have a lander on Mars called InSight that is collecting data. And with InSight, we are currently unable to get our hands on the data to find out what all the information is that it's sending back. We're assuming it's still sending back and everything is working fine. And continued mission work to deploy the thermometer is not taking place. So with InSight, we currently have a lack of updates on the science that is being accomplished and a delay in deployment of its second scientific instrument due to the government shutdown. This is a direct effect that we're seeing. We also are seeing that people who have grants, they quite often have January 1 renewal dates on their grants. So you're about to see a lot of university graduate students and postdocs working on these projects, waiting for the data, who don't have data and are about to not have jobs starting January 1 when their grants renew. Now, with New Horizons, things just go sideways. So New Horizons is a PI-led mission. This means that the mission was distributed through a competitive process. Alan Stern was the principal investigator of that grant. He is employed by the Southwest Research Institute, and they are organizing the mission through the Advanced Physics Lab that is located out at Johns Hopkins University. Right now, it is planned that Johns Hopkins and APL are going to be doing all the normal mission-related activities, even if, as expected, the government remains shut down through the encounter. At this point, we have a variety of different press release information that is coming out, indicating when press briefings will be for people that are at the location. And we have a tweet coming from NASA Administrator Bernstein stating that NASA TV will be able to cover this. So in this particular case, this flyby of a chunk of ice in the outer solar system is considered an essential activity. So there are going to be people required to operate NASA TV who aren't getting paid. I have so many mixed feelings about that. So here's where we are. We're going to get New Horizons flyby. We're going to get the first image. We don't know what's going on with InSight. We don't know what's going on with many of our different spacecraft that are run through NASA centers. Spacecraft that are run through universities are good as long as their funding allocations are still in place. New funding allocations are not being given out. Contractors are in trouble, and we don't know how long this is going to last. When I was in graduate school, we had a shutdown that lasted long enough to terrify all of the graduate students. But it was simply over a minor, in the grand scheme of things, debate on what to fund. As we move into the new year, for those of you who aren't from the United States, we're going to be having a new set of politicians moving into their offices. Those candidates who were elected back in November swap in January. So we are going to have the U.S. House of Representatives dominated by Democrats, the U.S. Senate, which is generally a more staid organization. Folks are elected for longer periods of time. They're less worried about upsetting their constituents. They are still run by the Republicans, but in general, as I said, more staid, less likely to do weird stuff. As we move into the new year, we have a president who will not sign a budget unless it includes $5 billion to build a physical wall that will be devastating to the environment and wildlife along the US-Mexican border. So we don't know how long this government shutdown will last. One thing that I have experienced that was rather terrifying is here in the state of Illinois, we went 2 years without a state budget. This means that our institutions didn't have funding. We were living off of student tuition. We were occasionally able to get small pockets of money released by the state. But at the end of 2 years, so many people had been fired, laid off, left because they no longer had health insurance because the state of Illinois wasn't paying its bills, that the state of Illinois became completely dysfunctional. As this funding crisis continues with the U.S. government shutdown, we're going to begin to see people who have no choice but to move out of the government sector, move out of government-funded positions, and seek jobs elsewhere. We need this to end quickly so that we don't suffer a brain drain, so that we don't see people, giving up on NASA, the Department of Energy, so many of these different things that are out there. So that was a facts-based report on what is going on. I don't know what to say other than we at least get Ultima Thule. So next Monday and Tuesday, as we move into the new year, there is a whole variety of activities surrounding the New Horizons flyby. This is an extraordinarily mysterious object. It is small. It, as near as we can tell, has a constant light curve, and what that means is the amount of light coming off the object is within error the same brightness all the time. And the reason this is odd is objects like our moon, they have different colors in different places, and as they rotate, if you're observing them from somewhere other than Earth where we see phases of the moon, if you were able to observe the moon such that it appeared constantly illuminated, you would see its brightness vary over time as it went from having more or less of the bright white regolith reflecting sunlight back at the observer. As we look at asteroids, their variety of shapes cause them to reflect back different amounts of light over time as they go from having a large surface area to having a small surface area, depending on how we're looking at their irregular shape. With Ultima Thule, this constant brightness, it could mean that it's a plain colored, no variation, perfectly spherical object. It could mean that the sucker is just, relative to the sun, not really rotating on timescales that we're watching. It could mean it's surrounded by a swarm of small moons whose various shapes and sizes average out to having no light curve. It's just weird, and we don't know what's going on. And hopefully we're going to begin to get an understanding next week. We haven't seen very many of these Kuiper Belt objects up close. The best we've got is Triton, a moon that was observed by a Voyager mission, Pluto Charon, the other moons of Pluto. This is about it. And most of those other moons that we observed were just a few pixels across. This is going to be an extremely close flyby. We're going to be able to make out details. This is going to be the kind of image that we're used to getting of asteroids from missions a few days out. There's some amazing videos out there of synthetic, this is what it would look like on approach as we get closer and closer. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Myself and Annie Wilson of Youngstown State University, we are going to do everything we can to not just bring you this encounter and all the science that's coming out of it, but we're also going to be doing a complete relaunch of our CosmoQuest website. You'll see in the next probably few hours that CosmoQuest.org is going to go into maintenance mode. In the next few days, we're going to work to bring you a whole bunch of new content, new information, and it's all going live at the stroke of midnight Eastern Time come New Year's Day. So tune in, get me, get Annie, get a new website, get new science. And for us, this is a bittersweet moment. When CosmoQuest first launched back in 2012, we launched with one science program, and that was Ice Investigators, a project to look for a Kuiper Belt object that, well, might be the one that New Horizons was going to right now. We did find 2 objects. They were published. All the citizen scientists' names got to go on the publication, but both their orbits were entirely wrong for New Horizons to go visit. It would later take the Hubble Space Telescope to find Ultima Thule, to find this thing that does have the right orbit, the right position in our solar system for New Horizons to have enough fuel to go visit it. But we're still mighty proud of what we accomplished. And today, as we look at this spacecraft that, well, got us launched in 2012, we are losing our NASA funding. We are losing our ability to keep doing a lot of the things that we do with you and for you. But you're all here to help, and I'm so grateful for everything that you have done so far. I'm so proud of everything this community has accomplished. If you look at the ticker down below, you'll notice we're now over 50% of our goal, which, given the turbulent nature that the Dow Jones has taken in the past week and the current government shutdown, that's more than I had thought possible Friday evening. You are making it possible for CosmoQuest, with our staff all working very part-time, but sometimes part-time is enough. You're making it possible for us to keep the lights on for 3 months while we work to bridge into the future. And for this, I am grateful. And I'm hoping that just as you've made me so proud of everything we've accomplished as a community with science, with supporting one another and being good to one another, I hope we make you proud with everything we're able to accomplish in the new year. So thank you. Thank you, Guido, for the bits. Thank you so very much. So that's all I've got for today. That was my monologue of here's what's going on in the world. And I hope to never have to have a monologue like this one ever again. So here is to a quick resolution and to much new science in the new year. Not next week, but the week after, we have the American Astronomical Society meeting coming to us from Seattle, Washington. Annie will be there, and I'm going to do what I can to cover all the news remotely. So stay tuned. More science will be coming. And I'm now here to answer any questions you may have. Please, while you type them into the chat, remember to @me. It makes it easier. And thank you, Guido. Thank you, Kevlar. Thank you, all of you, for the things that you're saying. It means so much, all you wonderful humans. So, this has been a production of the Planetary Science Institute working in collaboration with Youngstown State University. We are sustained by you. Every subscription really helps, and every bit truly matters. Thank you for everything you do to keep us going into the future. Thank you so much, Ed Thompson. Thank you for the bits. So, questions. What questions do we have? The cake is great, and the spoon is an illusion. Okay, there is no spoon. I'm not seeing questions. So other things for you guys to notice if you haven't, we are in the process of moving all of our staff off of Slack and into Discord with you. If you join the CosmoQuest Discord, this is where we're going to be hanging out from now on. This means you will have better access to me and the rest of the team, better ability to ask us questions, and hopefully we will be able to better work with you as volunteers as we move into the future. So please, if you haven't joined CosmoQuest's Discord yet, join today. Okay, so Paranor is asking, could Ultima Thule have an internal heat source that is evening the light curve? It's so tiny that my gut says, no, 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 too tiny. But the thing about the outer solar system is it keeps liking to prove us completely wrong. So I'm reticent to say anything with certainty. Honestly, my gut intuition is this is either a object that is rotating extraordinarily slowly, such that we haven't really seen its face change over the period of time that we've been studying it. So not actually tidally locked, it's way the heck too far out for that, but something that's just rotating relative to us very slowly, or it's rotating such that its pole is pointed towards us, or it's just pretty much spherical and ice, just bland ice. These are my guesses. We'll know next week. So yes, Juno is going to stay there. I don't know Juno's end date. Let me double check that real fast. It is scheduled to continue operations through July 2021. So we're good to go with Juno. It's going to keep bringing us, well, those amazing polar vortices. So Susie is asking a random Mars question. Is there lightning on Mars? I was watching a bad sci-fi movie and they had lots of lightning. I don't believe that Mars has lightning. I'm going to Google this one. So it has dust storms, which means it would have an electrically charged atmosphere, but it's so diffuse that I'm not convinced that it would be possible for it to have it. Okay, lightning detected on Mars. The first detection of lightning in a Martian dust storm has likely been made by a new detector on a radio telescope. That's dated 2009. It's an article in space.com. So apparently, and it's not a big thing because I don't see any news on it since 2009. So I'd put that at there may be lightning on Mars, and there was a observation consistent with it. Again, dust frictionally can build up electric charge, which could discharge, creating lightning, but the atmosphere is so thin. So thin. Yeah, I'm guessing the movie, it was bad sci-fi. Yes, definitely Paranor. Another reason to go underground. Okay, other questions out there. I can't answer if she was watching a John Carpenter movie, but I know that was directed at Susie and not me. I'm just looking for question marks. And if there aren't any more question marks, I'm going to let you all know that in math is hard. In an hour and a half, we are going to be recording Astronomy Cast live over on YouTube. This week's topic is predictions for 2019, and Fraser and I are notoriously really bad at making good predictions. So tune in for all of our likely to be untrue predictions for 2019. This is one of those times when we do step out on a limb, and you can join us and imagining just what it might be. So I'm not seeing other questions. So I invite all of you to join us over on Discord. And if you're not already there, why not? Be over on the Weekly Space Hangout Crew Slack channel. That's not going away. It's just a different purpose and a different community. So we all overlap, we all touch on one another. And here at CosmoQuest, we are also tightly bound up with the good folks over at the Knowledge Fellowship Discord, which is dedicated to finding places here on Twitch for you to learn. And we are a member of the Brain Bites team. So check it all out. Find ways to put more information in your brain until I am back on Monday to put more science in your brain with the daily space. I may be back earlier working on web design. You're welcome to join for that as well. It's going to be less exciting. So thank you so much. And thank you folks who are getting the links for the Discord into the chat for Ed. Thank you, Bill Nash. And I meant to raid you last night, but I didn't know you were live. I went looking and I failed. But no, had I been able to find a little purple dot next to your name, I totally would have raided you last night. Okay. Anyways, thank you, Bill Nash. And thanks all of you for being here. And wherever in the world you may be, have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon. And remember to go outside and look up. Bye-bye.